Spod. Now, before the next speaker speaks, I'd actually like to hear what the debate's about. There's a lot of background noise here, and I'd like to hear Gareth Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Kia ora, ngā mihi nui, kia koutou, kia ora. I'd like to start with a statistic I think members may find interesting. I was having coffee with the CEO of one of our large gentailers last week, and he told me that single company has 14,000 separate accounts. It's 14,000 separate pricing plans because, you know, they've got various options. You've got 29 different regional lines monopolies, all of their own different way they charge it. And if you apply that across the numerous retail companies across the country, we could have 100,000 different pricing plans in a little country of, 4 million people. You think that's complex. What's really complex is when you open up your power bill, because it's hard to understand what on earth's going on. You may have tried to use less power in the week, but you wouldn't know from the power bill because of all the fixed charges, the lines charges, the EA levy, everything else on top of it. This is a real issue, a tangible issue, and I acknowledge and salute the member David Shearer for putting it in front of Parliament, because we know our customers are struggling in New Zealand when it comes to paying the power bills. Now, when they open the power bill, you know, first you've got to gingerly tear it open because it's terrifying. You never know what it's going to be, but you know it's going to be higher than probably what it was last year. What we do know is that power bills have gone up some 25% in the last 5 years. New Zealand has seen the fifth highest power price increases in the entire developed world since the Bradford reforms. The four ahead of us were all ex-communist countries coming out of Soviet domination. Fifth highest power prices in the developed world. And what's the government's response to massively increasing power bills? A rise in energy poverty that now sees a quarter of New Zealand families spending more than 10% of their weekly disposable income just to keep the lights on. And sadly, they're actually making that tough choice between, do we heat this week or do we eat? And what's the response been? It's been, well, shop around, use your consumer power. I remember Simon Bridges in this House saying, those reforms still need a little bit more time to bed in. How much longer are we going to have to wait for those reforms to bed in when we've seen the fifth highest power prices over that period? And what we've seen from the industry in response to those rocketing power bills, that real energy poverty, is a blame game, a blame around, where the retailers blame the line companies blame the retailers. No one can make heads or tails of it because everyone is blaming everyone else. Now, it reminds me of what the former CEO of Telecom once said off the cuff, which was part of their marketing was to cause confusion as a marketing tool. Now, when you can't understand your bill, it's hard to change behaviour, it's hard to shop around, and it's hard to exercise your consumer power. At the same time, we also see National cut funding, well, they haven't extended funding for the Power Switch website, where consumers can switch between power companies. Now, what I've heard in this debate, and look, it's been pretty not much of an intellectual or a true debate around the issues, Mr. Speaker. We've heard from National members that they want to keep consumers in the dark. I thought this party stood for consumer rights, for greater transparency. They said, well, if the companies, they'll do it, you know, competition will urge them to provide more information to their customers. If that was the case, it would have happened already, but it hasn't. Then they said it was too costly. Now, Mr. Speaker, for those big old power companies with maybe 14,000 separate accounts and creaky backroom IT systems to deal with it, it may cost a little bit of money. But the fact is you've got innovative new retailers like Ecotricity, Flick, who are coming into the market. Because what consumers want in New Zealand is more consumer power. They're sick and tired. For decades they've been passively paying the power bill and seeing it going up. They want to produce some of the power themselves. They want a little bit more control. When I was in California recently doing an energy study tour, what I heard there is the utilities are trying to think about themselves as providing energy services, not just pushing electrons one way down those wires. It's this reason that consumers are kept in the dark, they aren't being given real choice, is why they're going solar in record numbers. Now, Mr. Speaker, I'm supporting this bill, and the Green Party is, because it's part of giving consumers more control. It's part of our mission for energy, and my mission as energy spokesperson, to get cleaner, cheaper, smarter energy for New Zealanders. Now, we can do it. the question facing Parliament tonight is, where do members stand? Is it with those old power companies and their old creaky IT systems who can't get there, who spread confusion and doubt when it comes to their power bills? Or are they going to stand on the side of consumers and the new energy economy to make sure consumers can have a choice, transparency, and make decisions based on it?
I call David Seymour.